Call this meeting to order. We would all rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We were going to add this to other business.
Correct.
What should we call it?
I think we can just label it as consider approval of and equipment. Consider approval of supplies and equipment for the community paramedicine vehicle.
It was 2 times what it's always saying.
There you go.
First order of business is approval agenda. As you'll see, the minutes provided in your packet. We don't have much today. Really, the only thing on our agenda today is the consider proposal from SERV for equipment for the community paramedicine vehicle. There is 2 things we need to vote on there in conjunction that are going to the same vehicle. One of them is for the emergency lighting, everything required to be an emergency vehicle. The other is the equipment on board. That's more getting into the medical supplies that it'll be carrying around. But like you said, that was provided. With that being said, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion for the agenda.
I'll give the second to approve the amended agenda.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to consent agenda. As stated before, minutes are provided in your packet from April 3rd meeting. The only thing we have today is payroll of $417,907.53.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're going quick. Oh, sorry. Moving on to commissioner comments. I'll switch it up. I'm going to start this week. I say that. I don't think I have a whole lot to report. There was some stuff that we're going to talk about later in the week or later in time concerning the 800 radios and our policy on encryption. I'm looking at you, Doug. I'd love to talk with you about that a little bit before that meeting. There's actually maybe a few other things I want to talk to you about. But other than that, that's really all I was working on last week. No meetings. It was really a pretty easygoing week, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's
Just on Monday. I plan to attend the leadership county retreat, and Janelle has organized that. And we'll have department heads and elected officials there. And then also we're just in the early discussion part. Obviously, the budget is on the radar on how that's going to be handled and some of the proposals that we'll be hearing. And of course, there's much happening still at the state in the veto session. And so anyway, that's something we're going to be working on. And if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, this is a good time to start that conversation and be on the early part of it, because it always happens fast. I mean, it doesn't seem it starts in May and we hear outside agencies and we get our reports back. And then at the tail end, when we get ready for approval, sometimes that's when people start making comments or asking questions. But probably just to kind of stay ahead of things, now's a good time to start those conversations.
Absolutely. I'll reverberate that. If you guys have any concerns with what the county is budgeting and what we're spending our time doing, I would invite you to call your commissioner of your district. If you don't know that, the information is provided online if you want to figure out who that is. Otherwise, you can call any of us, but it makes more sense if you call your district commissioner. Ron, do you got anything to report?
Real quickly, we'll be working with the Juvenile Detention Center this next week on their budget, finalizing everything on it. Looks good, but again, we'll work on that. I would like to, Mr. Chairman, to also bring up in the agenda today a little discussion on the 1100 bridge and on what's going on with the windmills. I've been asked that on the way into work today, so just a little finalize our understanding what's happening with those 2 items.
We can bring that up. Well, we could talk
Can
about
Janelle cover that in her report, or?
I certainly can. So,
Whatever you'd like to.
Why don't we just address it now? Do you want to
Okay.
address it now?
so what particular questions on the 1100 Avenue Bridge?
The questions were that the $2 million was a lot of money for the county, and then understand where that money was coming from and how it was being paid. And that was a question that the citizens out there were.
For the 1100 Avenue
Yes,
Bridge.
yes.
So that is a cost share program through KDOT. So our share is the 224,000, and then the remaining money comes from KDOT.
It's all taken care
There were
of.
bids,
Right.
a bid process that happened to go out, and so then we had money to
Bids, I
consider.
think we got.
Five of these what we received. And so on the agenda next week, we should have approval of the notice to proceed on that. So I've got the language in my office.
It
So
was a little higher than what we
it
anticipated.
was, yes. Yes.
So we're fortunate that it is a cost share.
We're very
I
fortunate.
mean, as far as
Wow.
Yes, yes. So,
Local.
but irregardless, we still have to come up with the $224,000 as our share, and then the design and right-of-way purchase and all that, that's going to be back on the county too. So,
I think Martin even commented in that session that I think 10 or 12 years before, similar sized bridge was about half the price.
correct, yes.
Maybe a little bit more than half, but
That's something.
It's just
so
gone up that much.
Oh, my.
he made that note.
Yeah.
That was interesting note.
And the other question that you're getting,
Is there any more progress on the wind towers, what they want to know?
it's
Is there
still
any-
sitting in court, and we have till June 15th to submit all of the documents, which they have been submitted. And then July, from what I understand, the judge will hear both sides. So I have no idea when.
From their understanding, the public's understanding, they thought everything was moved to November. And I said, I have no comment.
I have
No.
not received any
So
updated dates. July is still the date that I was told.
Okay.
Yep.
And thank you so much.
And I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not going to start any sort of construction until the court proceedings have
Correct.
dealt with.
And I've had a few people ask me what's happening at the national level, if that has an impact, and I don't really have the insight to give a report on what's.
Conversations
Yeah.
we had, it was this money's bonded,
Right,
the money's there to
right.
do the project.
On NL side. Yeah.
So unless something changes there, if they get, I could be wrong, but if they get out of court and they are allowed to continue, they're going to do it.
Right.
Mhm.
And they've already got the funds allocated and the project developed. They've already invested a lot of money in this area to start it. And like you said, they already have the
I
funds.
don't know if the administration has much say in that. I think the
No,
money
we don't
has
have
already
no
been
control
done.
of that.
I mean,
Or nationally.
nationally, I don't know if they can stop that money. I think it's
Okay.
kind of where it is. That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, that's
And
my.
I think people are just curious. I mean.
Yeah, that's just-
Absolutely.
And they're just asking, and it's
I wish we had more information, quite honestly, but I don't right now.
not our
so-
call, so yeah.
It's not.
Thank you.
Hearing or not seeing any petitions or proclamations, I'll open it up for public comment. Janelle will first read the rules.
For the Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4317 and 75-4318A, as the elected board, the county commission is not allowed to meet or make any decisions without posting the meeting. They are only allowed to act on items on the agenda which they set. During their regular meeting, the county commission may allow for public comments on items not listed on the approved agenda. It is at the discretion of the county commission if they allow comments on the agenda items. If you wish to provide comments, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address. If you are online, raise your hand and we will unmute you. Please state your name and address. Each person may speak for 3 minutes. The allotted time will start after the speaker has given his or her name and address. Public comments shall be addressed to the county commission only and not to the speaker or the audience. Only the county commission will be permitted to ask the speaker questions. The public comment period is not a back and forth discussion with the county commission. You should make your views and input known to them, but it is not a time to ask them questions. You should not expect them to respond to your comments. Comments may express support or agreement with the previous speakers, but in the interest of time, please do not repeat the same information. You may state something to the effect of your name and address, and you agree with the previous speaker. It is important to maintain a respectful, non-threatening atmosphere for anyone who would like to speak. Please do not engage in such actions as cheering, booing, clapping, insults, threats, etc.
See something. Do we have a comment? Or no, that was your.
Can you scroll through the screen? Because we never can see it all at once, as far as who's online.
Didn't see.
But like you say, nobody is
Nobody
signaled.
has a hand raised.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing no No public comments, we'll move on. Reports from county officers, we'll start with County Administrator Janelle Dawkins.
Commissioners, as you heard in the study session, they're interviewing for the Register of Deeds position. She had 4 applicants and 1 has pulled out. She has interviewed today and hopefully either tomorrow or next week. Depending on weather, the Public Works Department will start spraying roads or noxious weed. And in fact, Martin would have been here today, but he is attending the noxious weed conference. They actually are also hosting a gravel roads training. And it's actually today, not tomorrow. They had 34 participants in it, which was great. Osborne seems like the furthest county that came up for this training. So the appraiser has a continuing education on tax exemptions. And as Lisa reported, she has 2 staff members attending the required IAAO 101, which is fundamentals of real estate. Employees are participating in cybersecurity training. That's an annual training that is online for our staff. You know, we get a lot of phishing emails and spam emails. So just a reminder of what to look for, not to look for. The emergency manager was participating in a preparedness planning class, and he reported on that, and he's preparing for our upcoming storm season. And as a couple of the managers talked about the radial installations. So all the portables have been issued. They are installing the mobiles. They should have finished up with the sheriff's department. They'll move to the last law enforcement agency, which is the Chapman Police Department and Fire Department this week, should get them completed and then finalize. There's 6 other departments, but to install mobiles on, those are smaller departments. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have everything installed and ready to go. So do you have any questions for me?
I believe so. Commissioners? Okay, good. Thank you, Janelle. County Councilor Doug Thompson, you got anything?
You. We are working on the tax sale, and Judge Rozier out of Junction City, Erie County, and part of the district will be the judge that will preside over this next hearing coming up. And at this time, we have at the 25th of this month would be it wouldn't be the sale, but it would be moving in those stages to move forward to get to a tax sale. And we want to try and get a second tax sale done this year, if at all possible, so we can get caught back up. And the group that you had here earlier, and they are absolutely excellent, because every one of them that I've been to and said, I need this, I need that, help me with this over here. Every one of them have expertise and more than willing to share it with me, and that's a plus. We're also working on the recovery, and not only here, but also in Junction City. It's the same group of people who are doing both, and almost everybody the same. And Erie County, Junction City is growing as ours is. So we're spending a lot of time on that to try to help these people get through these horrible times, because I've never seen anything like this with these drugs of this nature, whether it's a 70-year-old who's hooked on them or a 17-year-old. And so we're working through that, and that's what we've been working on. Nothing but help from all of the staff, everybody that I've needed to go to, we have it. So we're blessed.
Well, we like to hear that.
Questions?
Yeah, I wanted to work with you on a few things. I tried calling you, but can we talk after this meeting? You and I? Perfect. That's all I'd ask. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
And with that, one of the things I want to work with him on is a purchasing policy. Do we have one?
We have a procurement policy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you give me a copy of that, please? Probably need to get a copy to Doug. I want to perhaps make a new one, or I want to see what we got first.
Find out how old it is or what.
Yes. Yep. I need to get,
I'll just review it.
yeah, I'd like to review it with you guys as well. I reviewed, just a little enlightenment, I reviewed Saline County's purchasing policy. I like how in depth they went into their purchasing policy. They really outlined who's in charge of what and what authority needs to be asked where. I want to work towards that, but I don't know what ours looks like. So to be fair, maybe we already have that.
And we have a pretty in-depth one. It was put in 2006, and there's been a few updates to it,
Okay.
but it
20
needs
years.
to be revised.
I think revising that before budget comes up is appropriate. I think, or at least the next month or so. But I'd like to work with you on that, Doug, make sure we are following statute. And that'll be a part of what we talk about. Moving on, I don't see any notices or communication. Oh, go ahead.
And I could have brought this up earlier, but I think it's worth bringing up. I happened to listen to KBI radio this morning. And just like the county sometimes gives interviews and such, it was Ron Marsh, city manager, and he spoke of how there are not, from what I understand, official conservation orders in place right now. He had mentioned that the wells were not at the levels that they want for the city, and just a strong suggestion that people should suspend doing watering for yards and gardens, and try to kind of let Mother Nature kick in. And we had a big snow this year and so on, but by the time you get to the water level and such, anyway, so that was a concern. And I think that's something that, even though that's for the city of Abilene, they also sell water to the water district that takes care of the rural area. And then we hear that same drumbeat as far as Western Kansas and irrigation and so on. So I think people just need to be alert to that, hopefully there'll be some sort of improvement, but we should conserve when we can, and need to be aware, because, eventually it potentially can get more serious than what it is. And so.
So is this conservation district would have direction here, wouldn't they, or no? In terms of what, I mean, who
They will have some,
talks?
yeah. They will have.
I hear about water a lot. I hear about wells going deeper and deeper and deeper. And is this an issue that is coming our way and we're not really on it, or?
No, I think we are, because the state governor has had feasibility studies done and statewide committees to go and look at the issues, because the Ogallala out west is declining rapidly. So,
Yeah.
and what that's going to look like too. So the conservation district definitely could answer some of those questions, I believe, and they'll be in to present during the budget, but I can get all of Cindy Montgomery and ask her to come in and
They
talk.
brought this same issue up at KAC,
Yes.
one of our work sessions. So,
Well, if a well goes dry, it goes dry.
Yeah.
And even though, obviously we aren't Wichita, but Wichita gets theirs out of Cheney Reservoir, and that water level is low. And so that's something they're discussing. And people that farm out in Western Kansas and irrigation and so on, and Hayes is in the process of bringing a lot of water into theirs through a pipeline and spending millions of dollars. And but locally, basically, it's Sand Springs area is where the wells are, and they have good wells. And Marcus would probably be more up to date on that than. And I don't know if we have to have that conversation now, but still, they have wells that they rotate and such. And if the levels are not what they should be, that's going to be a concern, and it's not a quick fix. It takes rain, but also people, being mindful that water is a resource we need to protect. And
absolutely.
so I want to bring that up. I thought if he put that out on the radio, and they, from what I understand, they have not put a strict restriction in place,
Right.
But they do have a policy that they can enact, and then the city of Abilene does provide water for the rural water district, and same source.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I think something we ought to be thinking about. But I do not see any introduction or consideration resolutions, no unfinished business. So moving on to other business. The first part of this is the consider proposal from CERT for the equipment for the community paramedicine vehicle. That's going to be this sheet right here, Superior Emergency Response Vehicles. I was informed most of this is the emergency equipment that we need to denote the vehicle as an emergency response vehicle. But pretty straightforward, lights, decals, getting it installed. There's some more in there. Is there anything I'm missing?
Antennas, for the radios, things like that.
This was grant money that EMS received. And also, so they would have money set aside for the equipment, did use the option of finding a good used vehicle. And so, they're very mindful and aware. So we're fortunate that we've got this taken care of through a grant.
100%. Just to call out John here in a good way. He had allocated 22,000 to outfit this vehicle and ended up costing us 17,900. So, and then the supplies is the same story. If you look at the supply, let's not get to that yet. Let's do that next. But on this particular, the outfit of the vehicle, already looking at like $4,000 savings. So I think it's a good bid. I think we ought to call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
Second, go ahead.
I'll second that motion. Any more discussion on the matter?
Just one piece of discussion, Mr. Chair. I think the public needs to know that the action of the commissioners on this is great because these are factual prices. And we're not seeing a rise in price or drop. We know what we're going to be paying for, or the medical system knows what they're paying for. And that's pretty darn good because the fluctuation of goods and products right now are just crazy from one time to the next. So that's a good deal.
I couldn't agree more. And that was, and on the next one we'll vote on, I'll touch on that some more. Any more discussion?
No.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Speaking to that, on the next one, which is very similar to the first one, but is the approval of supplies and equipment for a community paramedicine vehicle. It's the same vehicle we just discussed. This is the stuff that's actually going to be in there for the medical responders to actually use. IV pump is among some of this. You got some suction units, a lot of stuff that to be completely frank, I have no idea what it is. But I know that they need it, and I'm assured by the director that this is all stuff that they do need, and we're not just buying stuff. Considering the words that are on here, I'm pretty sure this is all medical equipment. So. With that being said, once again, he budgeted $12,500. I'm going to reinstate, this is grant money. So this is money that the county is not taxing you to get. We're getting it from a grant. But he's only going to end up spending $10,430 of the allotted amount. So once again, I think he's trying to find the best prices, make sure he's not spending every dollar he has for each thing, so he can keep some of that back for future expenses down the road.
And we do have the vehicle in place from what he reported, and until the equipment's on there, they really can't use it. So this is a necessary second step.
Absolutely. And to me, it made sense to do it now, both in the light of why wouldn't we? And second of rising cost increases. I want to get it bought and purchased now in light of maybe the chance that these tariffs increase our costs on goods. So I think it makes.
Go ahead and make the motion that we approve this additional equipment supplies, and that amount was $10,430.41.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. He is approved. With that, any more discussion, commissioners? With that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned, quick.